This video is proudly brought to you by Hovatek. Hovatek. Just a button away.
In this video tutorial, I'll be explaining how to install Windows 8. Now, it's the same procedure as when you are using your CD or DVD, your bootable USB, or Oracle VM VirtualBox. But I'll be using the Oracle VM VirtualBox method for this tutorial, and I just need to do a couple of things before I get started. Now, for Oracle VM VirtualBox, you are of course going to need your Windows 8 ISO. So the first thing you want to do is to launch Oracle VM VirtualBox. Now, Oracle VM basically enables you run other OSs on your Windows PC as applications. So you don't need to sideload or partition your hard disk before you can install Windows. You can just install like a regular application on your PC, and it's a lot easier to use. So the first thing you want to do is to configure your Windows 8. In this case, select type as Microsoft Windows, version Windows 8 64-bit, depending on the on the ISO you have. Here you want to allocate RAM. It's very important you don't over allocate RAM here. I have a 4 gig RAM, so I can afford to spare 1 gigabyte. It's usually best to keep your RAM allocation below half or even less than half as much as you can, but at the same time still keeping your virtual machine working properly. Here, just click create a virtual hard drive. Now click create VDI VirtualBox disk image. Next. Now this part is asking you to determine how you want your virtual OS to be allocated storage space. Now if you select dynamically, that means it will remove storage from your hard disk, that is from your normal Windows hard disk, whenever it needs storage space. As for fixed, you are going to be allocating a limited or a fixed storage space to your virtual OS. Now I would go for fixed because I don't want my OS to go consuming space whenever it thinks it needs storage space. So I'll just go with fixed to determine or to allocate a particular storage size. Now, since this is a tutorial, I don't intend to do much on this OS. I will just go with 20 gigabytes of storage space. Then I click create. Okay, this part could take quite some time, so you want to chill. So while we are waiting for this, I'll just run you through the normal installation procedure of Windows 8. Now normally when you want to install your Windows 8 on your laptop, you would normally insert the Windows 8 DVD or your bootable flash drive, and you shut down your PC, then you boot. Now when you boot your PC with these drives in, you should get a prompt asking to tap any key to boot from CD or DVD. Now if you don't get that, that means Windows is not booting from either of these drives before your hard disk. That is, if your PC boots straight into Windows environment instead of giving you that prompt, that means it's booting from your hard drive before the USB port or CD DVD drive. So what you'd want to do in that kind of case is to boot into BIOS. That is, keep tapping F10 upon boot. In BIOS, you'd want to change your boot order such that your CD or DVD and USB port will be above the laptop's hard drive. So whenever you boot your PC, your PC will check the CD DVD drive and check your USB port for any connected media, and if there is, it tries to boot from that particular media or that particular drive. So what you'd want to do is to make sure your boot sequence encourages you to run your Windows installation wizard. Now when you now get the prompt, you are good to go. You can now begin your installation. But for this Oracle VM VirtualBox, I need to do these steps before I get to a point where it's going to be essentially the same thing whether you're using your CD, DVD, or you're using your bootable flash drive, or even using VirtualBox. It's going to be essentially the same thing you'd be doing. Okay, so once that is complete, we get to this part. And what you'd want to do now is to highlight your Windows 8 here and you click Start. Now this is equivalent to you slotting in your CD or DVD or the bootable flash and booting your PC. But in this case, you want to select the ISO file. That's your Windows 8 ISO here. Then click Start. So now I'm booting my PC in the virtual sense. So you'd want to give this some time to run. Alright, let me expand this so you have a clear view. Alright, good to go. Alright, here we are. So at this point, what you'd want to do is to select your configuration settings. Language to install English, time and currency format English United States, keyboard layout US. Next, then click install now. Setup is starting. At this point, I required to enter the product key, so you'd want to come back here to get the product key. Alright, here's our product key, so I'll just minimize this. Alright, product key NG4HW, NG4HW, VH26C, VH26C, 733KW, 733KW, K6F98, K6F98, J8CK4, J8CK4. So click next. Accept license terms. Next. Custom install Windows only. Okay, now if you already had Windows installed on this PC before this installation, if you click next after selecting this drive, it's going to overwrite your current installation, and also all your current OS files will be moved to a folder named Windows.old in your C drive. So the rule of thumb is, some people ask, when you have more than one item here, which do you select? You'd want to consider the one that has the largest total size, and if you find some that have large total sizes, you want to consider the one that has the largest free space. That is basically the rule of thumb here. Now, in case if you want to format your PC at this point, all you need to do select the partition you wish to format, then you click drive options and you click format, and that is all. Your PC is formatted. So in this case, I will not be formatting, I'll just be installing. So if I have any previous OS here, which obviously I don't, all the files move to a folder called Windows.old under the C drive, so you can go get your files there, but all your installed applications will be removed. That's what you would lose. Next. Okay, copying Windows files. Now this part could take quite some time, so you'd want to sit back and what you do is thing, but it's very important you do not interrupt this, just let it be. So we are at 98% and we're almost done with this. So it's very important you do not tick any option, just let it run all by itself. Let me expand this so you have a clearer view. I'll just expand this. So all right. Getting the devices ready. So at this point, what should we should be entering the configuration part. You get to set things about your device. Excuse me. Getting ready. I'll just resize this again. Okay, at this point you should be entering configuration proper. Alright. Here you just want to select color you want. Here, PC name, Hovatek, next. Settings, I'll just go with express settings. Express settings doesn't need you to carry out too many configurations that way. So for this part I will just sign in without a Microsoft account. Local account, sign into your PC as a local account. Okay, finish. So finalizing your settings. Yeah, so what you are seeing is going to be a video tutorial, just a brief one telling you how to use your charms menu in Windows 8, so you'd want to pay attention here. It is telling you how to pop out the charms menu. So you just want to wait for this part to get completed. Installing apps. Alright, so the procedure is almost done. So this is just how you install Windows 8. It's very similar to Windows 7, right? Nothing difficult. So what we are doing is standing by for the installation wizard to be complete, and then we will have a confirmation by seeing our desktop and our Windows menu.